Let's look at our second principle of art, movement and rhythm. In your text, they talk about rhythm only, but rhythm is a kind of movement. And so I present this information differently. Movement in a static two-dimensional image is a figurative term. A painting or drawing does not actually move, but it can convey movement through its directional forces. Artists and designers can control the way the viewer's gaze moves throughout the composition. They do this through alignment and placement of the elements. In a 3D artwork, the orientation and character of a form can also imply that there is movement in space. So rhythm is a particular kind of movement. It is a sequence of visual cues that imply movement at regular intervals. So it's rhythmic, like music is rhythmic. And this can be an aspect of 2D and 3D artworks. In this illustration by Alphonse Mucha, notice how the linear flower stems make a sweeping movement from the bottom left to the top right. So we follow these stems through here. And then notice that these three circular motifs, floral motifs, repeat along this same arcing passage. And then these curl up and surround the figure here like that. Directional force can be created by edges or lines, as in this ukiyo-e print by Katsushika Hokusai. The sweeping lines here from the left, from the right to the left, they end in a crescent wave above Mount Fuji. Now, rhythm is a particular kind of movement, one in which elements are arranged in intervals that suggest a tempo, which is a musical term. And these sculptures by Tony Craig, skewed elliptical forms are aligned vertically, like twisted trunks of trees. So we see this again and again and again and again and again as it moves down or up the form itself. So let's take a look at this painting by Thomas Hart Benton. Movement is conveyed by how the artist leads the viewer's gaze through a composition by aligning and arranging elements. So starting here, we've got this large figure in the foreground. We have two large figures, of this figure and this figure, but this figure is closest to the edge of the page and looks kind of like it's in the viewer's space. It's got a tall vertical orientation, so we follow this down. Notice that we have the angle of the guitar gives us a diagonal, which is echoed in the angle of the leg, and it connects here to the saddle. It connects to this, part of this ground plane here, which sweeps us through the bottom, and we pick up on this figure, which is easily connected to this figure, which is connected to this figurative grouping, which is connected through this diagonal line of the hill and the gesture of this figure, which carries us in the train, which has a lot of momentum across the page from left to right, carries us in this line here, the division between the light of the locomotive and the darkening blue sky, which picks us back up again and takes us to this figure here on the right. So what we get is this large ovoid movement that encompasses the whole image. Within that is a secondary figurative grouping that essentially echoes it, does the same thing, also gives us this kind of radial movement as we follow the figures around, which kind of frame then this couple that is dancing here.